AMFA, the Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this live video webinar brought to you by AMFA, the Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association. We're here today to answer questions and address issues that you who are American Airlines mechanics and related employees have as you're considering signing an AMFA card. I'm Tim Crouch. I'll be the moderator for tonight's program. We want to invite you to be a part of this program tonight. You can submit your questions to the email address or the phone number that is on the screen. In the second half of tonight's program, we'll be answering those questions. We may not get to every question tonight while the program is on the air, but let me assure you that you will receive a response to your question from a member of AMFA National within 48 hours. We have an esteemed panel with us tonight to speak to the issues and your questions. First to my right is the National Director for AMFA, Louis Key, and an aircraft mechanic for Alaska Airlines. To his right is Lee Seaham, General Counsel for AMFA. Next to Lee is Jack Coonrod, Region 2 Director for AMFA and an aircraft mechanic at Southwest and a former Teamster member. And to his right is Jamie Barkham, a GSE mechanic at Southwest Airlines. To my left is Dave Stewart, an aircraft mechanic for American Airlines based in Tulsa. To his left is Don Rogers, an American Airlines mechanic based at DFW Airport. And to his left is Kevin Cruz from Alaska Airlines. Joining us now is Louis Key, the National Director for AMFA. And Louis, what is it that AMFA has to offer to the American mechanics and related employees?
Thank you, Tim, and thank you for joining us this evening for this live video webinar where we're going to get a chance to explain just what it is that AMFA brings to the table to offer the American Airlines mechanic and related employees. As you know, AMFA is a craft union that is craft-specific, representing the aircraft mechanic and related employees. Among the many challenges the American Airlines mechanics face as they navigate through the bankruptcy at American is first and foremost the challenge of being represented by the TWU, an industrial union, where the mechanics are a minority in their own union. And so what AMFA brings to the table is the opportunity for the mechanic and related employees to be represented by a union that is of, by, and for the aircraft mechanic and related employees. We bring a unique opportunity for the American guys, mechanic and related employees, to have the chance to be in control of their own destiny, not being handled by the large industrial union, which is essentially a labor broker that wants to keep their dues income machine in place and intact, where the interest there isn't necessarily representing the members individually and the craft specific for certain, but to keep the overall labor stability in place at American and keep the employees working, keeping their dues flow alive. And so AMFA brings the opportunity for the American mechanics to take control of their own destiny, their own future, and have a voice in their representation going forward.
AMFA doesn't just represent licensed aircraft mechanics.
That's correct. We represent the mechanic and related employees as defined by the National Mediation Board. The National Mediation Board determines who has a community of interest in determining who falls into a particular class and craft. And we represent that entire class of craft, not only the licensed aircraft mechanics, but also the ground service equipment mechanics, the facilities mechanics, building maintenance, and other skilled employees at the carrier that fall into the class and craft as determined by the National Mediation Board.
AMFA, why should an American mechanic or related employee sign an AMFA card today?
It's essential that the mechanic and related employees at American sign the AMFA representation cards right away. We need to get the craft union on the property working for the mechanic and related employees before there's a possibility of a merger with U.S. Airways, and this opportunity becomes that much harder to make a reality. So we encourage you to please get those cards signed right away and take your representation into your own hands.
My name is Bill Schaff. I'm an AMFA supporter. I think we don't want the Teamsters in here because it's too industrialized. We want a craft union. So let's bring in AMFA.
We're joined now by Lee Seaham, General Counsel for AMFA. And as an attorney, Lee, tell us about your experiences with AMFA.
I've been an attorney for 25 years, and I have to say that the proudest moments of my career are connected with my law firm's representation of the Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association. For me, what makes AMFA unique is both its democratic structure and its dedication to the mechanics craft. AMFA was the only union to stand up in front of a presidential emergency board and say that the 60-year injustice of mechanics topping out at the same wage rate as baggage handlers had to come to an end. AMFA is the only union that says we will not only protect your job, but we will protect your license. AMFA is the only union I know of that has successfully defended the right of a mechanic to put an unairworthy plane on the ground, even when the man was in an airline that AMFA was not yet certified to represent. At American Airlines, AMFA attorneys have gotten terminated mechanics their jobs back in New York, Miami, and AFW, with full back pay and full seniority when these men had despaired of any assistance from the TWU. AMFA is able to focus so effectively on the interests of mechanics because it is the only labor union that restricts itself constitutionally to representing the craft or class of mechanics and related employees. AMFA is like ALPA in this respect, dedicated to a single craft or class. AMFA does not engage in the greedy pursuit of more dues money. AMFA's objective is to promote a craft. And when you're in AMFA, you will know that every dollar, every dime, every nickel of your dues money is spent on mechanics and related employees. Not on baggage handlers, not on truck drivers, not on real estate or boats, just on you. And what AMFA is doing in this respect is following the policy set forth by the United States government. The National Mediation Board has held that in determining the proper scope of a craft or class, it is, quote, particularly important that the job classification share a work-related community of interest. The federal government has held that in order to be deemed a craft or class, quote, a particular grouping of employees must possess a sufficiently distinct community of interest and commonality of functional characteristics to ensure a mutuality of interest in the objective of collective bargaining. Now, why would you join a union that combines employee groups which the United States government believes to have conflicting interests? AMFA will never allow an unskilled majority to subvert the interests of a skilled minority. Every AMFA officer is directly elected by the members, and every AMFA officer belongs to the craft or class of mechanics and related employees. Now, how did the TWU perform for the mechanics and related during the 1113 bankruptcy process? The easier question to answer is, how did the TWU do for itself? Now, this is what the TWU got for itself: up to $5 million to pay off their attorneys, up to $2 million to pay off their investment bankers. It looked to protect itself by getting from American Airlines a 50% indemnification of all lawsuits against the TWU up to $5 million and a 100% indemnification for all lawsuits over $5 million. They also got 4.8% of all the equity of the reorganized entity. Contrast the TWU's focus with how AMFA performed in the face of bankruptcy at United. After rejecting the first offer, AMFA went back to the table armed with the mandate of an overwhelming membership strike vote. And even in the difficult context of an 1113 bankruptcy negotiation, AMFA actually obtained the following job protections for the first time: the right to perform an annual audit for the purpose of verifying compliance with the CBA's outsourcing limitations, United's agreement not to furlough any line mechanics from any then existing point as a direct result of future outsourcing, United's agreement not to outsource the 3 C-check lines of work performed by AMFA-represented employees at the San Francisco Maintenance Center, job security protection as a direct result of outsourcing for the following shops in the San Francisco Maintenance Center: pneumatics, avionics, landing gear, APU, engine accessories, engine disassembly, assembly and test, reversers, nose cowls and radomes, wire harnesses, heat transfer units, tire shop, plant maintenance, and flight controls. That's what AMFA got even while fighting in a bankruptcy context. Now, AMFA meetings are open and democratic. Nobody is told to sit down and shut up simply because they disagree with the elected leaders. At AMFA, the leaders implement the policies their members endorse because otherwise they would be recalled in a heartbeat. In my experience, AMFA leaders do not make false promises because they work side by side with their members who have zero tolerance for a liar. Now, the Teamsters have promised to reopen your collective bargaining agreement, but that's the same promise they made to the United Mechanics, a promise that they obviously never fulfilled. Here's what the National Mediation Board and the federal courts have said about the Teamsters' promise to reopen a contract. When there is an agreement in effect between a carrier and its employees signed by one set of representatives, and employees choose new representatives who are certified by the board has taken the position that a change in representation does not alter or cancel any existing agreement made in behalf of the employees by their previous representatives. The only effect of a certification by the board is that the employees have chosen other agents to represent them in dealing with the management under the existing agreement. The purpose of such a policy is to emphasize a principle of the Railway Labor Act that agreements are between the employees and the carrier. Now, the federal courts have adopted the NMB's policy in recognizing that well-established principle that a mere change of representatives does not alter otherwise applicable contractual agreements. Notwithstanding what the Teamsters may tell you, that's what the courts have said, and that's what the National Mediation Board have said. You can rest assured that your AMFA representatives will exploit every opportunity that presents itself to improve your contract. Why? Because they are your coworkers. If you take a pay cut, they take a pay cut. If you get a wage hike, they get a wage hike. What AMFA will not do is pump smoke up your skirts, which in my opinion is what the Teamsters did at United and are trying to do to you now. I really enjoy working for AMFA. I take pride in being given the resources to protect workers' jobs. I take pride in defending a technician who is determined to protect passenger safety. I take pride in working with a democratic union whose policy decisions are based on its members' goals and aspirations. If you want to feel proud, sign an authorization card. Give yourself a chance to vote for a better future.
Hi, my name is Jim Schmidt. I've been with American Airlines for 35 years, the TWU for 35 years, and I'm tired of being jerked around by the TWU for no longer supporting us. I would like a craft and class union that the AMFA is. I fully support AMFA. I do not want the Teamsters on the property because they'll be no better than the TWU. I have no faith in either the Teamsters or the TWU. I want AMFA.
We're joined now by Jack Coonrod, who is the Region 2 Director for AMFA. This reminder, you can call in your questions at the number that's on the screen or send them by email. We'll be answering those questions a little later in the program. Jack brings some interesting experiences to the table as the AMFA Region 2 Director, but also as a former Teamsters business agent.
Thank you, Tim. I'm a lead mechanic at Southwest Airlines in Dallas. I have been at Southwest approximately 15 years. I started in aviation when I was 17 years old, when I joined the Marine Corps. I will not mention exactly how long ago that was, except to say Orville and Wilbur seemed satisfied with my work. When I came to Southwest, we were Teamsters. I call them the Reamsters. I was formerly a business agent at Local 19, headquartered in Grapevine, Texas. Local 19 was and still is the largest airline division local of the Reamsters. Since AMFA has represented Southwest, it has used the dues to arbitrate numerous grievances each year. Arbitrations are expensive and can cost from around $10,000 to easily above $50,000. The Reamsters had better things to do with your money than to waste it on enforcing your contract, such as organizing. They will spare no expense to get you to vote for them. They will pay all the expenses for an army of organizers to knock on each and every one of your doors and ask you what are your biggest problems. And then they will tell you your problems are no problems for the mighty Reamsters. And they are not lying. Your problems are no problems for them. As once the Reamsters are in control and collecting your dues, you will never see that organizer again. And your problems will once again be your problem. With a membership nearing 4,000 members, and after more than 23 years, Reamster Local 19 managed to somehow accumulate $50,000 in the bank. AMFA was certified at Southwest on January the 27th, 2003. Local 11 was formed in Dallas, and Local 18 was formed in Houston. Since that time, AMFA has effectively doubled the number of arbitrations per year, accumulated over $2 million in the bank, and with a much smaller number of members, the two small locals, 11 and 18, have a combined total of approximately 1,400 members. The Reamsters speak of how much money they have and how poor AMFA is, how AMFA cannot effectively enforce contracts because they lack the necessary funds. The largest airline local and the richest in the airline division has $610.26 per member. This is Local 19. And this is much higher than other Reamster locals. AMFA Local 11 and 18 have $1,295.70 and $1,241.01 respectively per member. Local 11 and 18 separately have well over double the amount of the much larger Local 19. Local 19 has over 2,400 members. AMFA Local 11 has done this with only 735 members. AMFA Local 18 more than doubled the Local 19 total with only 677 members. This is a little over a fourth of the population, and AMFA has a much lower dues rate, twice the amount of money. This is all public information, and you can look this up. The LM2 forms that each union and local is required to file each year. So much for AMFA locals being broke. The International Brotherhood of Reamsters has a lot of money. They have a total of $162 each per member. AMFA National has a total of $535.66 for each member. This is more than 3 times as much as the International. Remember, the Reamsters collect much higher dues, over 25% higher. Again, this is all public information and can be found on the LM2 forms that each union and local is required to file annually. So who is poor and who has no money? Perhaps this is why they fail to enforce the contracts. Ask yourself, where do the Reamsters spend all of their money? Aircraft mechanics and related decide where AMFA money will be spent. If you decide to not sign an AMFA card, or you will not vote for AMFA, then stay with the TWU. As bad as they are better than the Reamsters.
Hi, my name is Pete Gerard. I'm crew chief here at Kennedy for the last 22 years. I've been with the TWU for the last 22 years. They have done nothing for me in the last 22 years. I'm an AMFA supporter. I've always been an AMFA supporter, and I would like to see AMFA in here. I want a class and craft union. I'm sick and tired of getting jerked around by other unions, Teamsters and TWU. I need a class and craft union here at Kennedy and with American Airlines to cover all of our mechanics and related. Thank you.
Let's turn now to Jamie Barkham. Jamie is a GSE mechanic with Southwest Airlines, an AMFA member, but Jamie was on the property at Southwest when the decision was made to go with AMFA instead of the Teamsters. And Jamie, what was that like?
I remember it real vividly. I came from a non-union automotive shop. I grew up, my best friend was in IBEW, so we talked union all the time, and he had his views and I had my views. Well, when I got hired on Southwest, I became a Teamster, and I was tickled to death. I said, hey, I'm a Teamster, local 19, here's my card, look at this. And we had our talk about, that's a good thing. Well, I can remember AMFA came around and started handing out cards. Well, the guys in my shop, I had two senior guys in my shop. One was a sergeant in arms, and he was I was a junior guy, way junior, and he was putting the thumb, don't sign that card, don't sign that card, AMFA's the devil. Well, me being who I am, I signed the card, turned it in, and when the vote came around, I voted for AMFA. In my mind, I was hoping that the Teamsters would prevail, but I voted for AMFA, and I can remember that it was a Wednesday when we were going to find out, whether we were Teamsters or AMFA, and we called the hotline and got the news, and we were now AMFA, not Teamsters, and the mood in the shop was it was weird. It's like we sold our soul to the devil. Like, oh no, what have we done? We've got rid of the Teamsters. What were we thinking? Well, the case in point is AMFA has really been a godsend. We started out with the Teamsters making, my base salary was $16.36, I believe, with the Teamsters. I've been with AMFA now. I'm a GSE mechanic, work on automotive stuff, stuff that supports the aircraft. I'm now making $40.36 an hour, and that is all because AMFA has been there and they've prevailed and they have really done what they said they would do.
Hello, my name is Dennis Cacci. I'm an aviation maintenance technician, and I've been a TWU member for 44 years, and I've watched the slow decline of this union into a terrible situation. And I think it's time that we have a craft union here at American Airlines. It's very important that we should have that kind of an organization here and get rid of the TWU. And also I'd like to add that the Teamsters will not offer anything for us. It'll just be another go-around of a TWU type organization. Thank you.
We turn now to Dave Stewart, who is a crew chief for American Airlines at the Tulsa Maintenance Base. I want to remind you, you can call in your questions at the number that is on the screen or send your questions in by email, and we'll be answering those questions a little later in the program. But turning to Dave Stewart, Dave, you've been with American for a while. Why is change needed now?
Well, thank you, Tim. I've been at American for 29 years, and change is overdue not only at American Airlines for the mechanic and related group at American Airlines, but also all of the aircraft mechanics in the industry. We really seek to change the whole industry, not just at American. And I have some information to share. For over 60 years, the majority of the mechanics within the airline industry have been represented by I call them the big three industrial unions, and that's made up of the TW, the Transport Workers Union, the Teamsters, and the IAM, the International Association of Machinists. During the days of a regulated airline industry, this type of catch-all unionism was sheltered from the current exposures of failure that we're seeing by the federal government dictating controls on both landing slots and ticket pricing. Carrier competition as it pertained to cost and pricing was not really as prevalent as what we see today, and the service provided by the carriers was king to the choice of the flying passengers. Since deregulation was enacted, the competition has become fierce between passenger carriers, and the industrial union idea has kept the AMTs of the industry divided, and we are being used against one another instead of as a united force. It has been a race to the bottom, with our profession spiraling downward and failing to even keep up with inflation. All the AMTs in the industry need to consolidate into one union to stop this type of division. And in my opinion, AMFA is the best choice to be the union that we consolidate into. In other words, as the unregulated airline industry consolidates, we should and we will consolidate our union representation as a means to survive. Industrial unions tend to focus mostly on the concept of political campaign financing and political lobbying as the primary means to protect the interest of the membership. While this may be a valid solution to some, it is now obvious that this idea is not only failing us all, including non-airline related union members, but over the years, it has become a great waste of time and money and has evolved into more of a good old boy club for alcoholic-filled partying and dining on the dime of the union membership. A membership, by the way, that has suffered setback after setback for over 30 years since deregulation was enacted by Congress. There are few, if any, victories that the industrial unions can bring forward to claim that this idea is anything other than a complete disaster and a failure. The industrial union strategy against changing the current demise of our craft is more about protecting the political institution than promoting and defending the aviation maintenance profession. They would rather continue to play in the political arena and party using the hard-earned money from your and my paycheck. It is time to change the focus and to begin to use new ideas and technology-based membership involvement instead of continuing in the dismal rut of failed ideas and policies. Once we become represented by AMFA, all the resources will then go towards craft-specific goals. And as my good friend Lee Seaham has said, at that point, every dime and every dollar of your union dues will be spent on this craft, and every thought of every second of every day will be about this profession. In contrast, the industrial unions must spend time, resources, and effort on other crafts and the unskilled within the organization, as those members in the union are entitled to fair and equal representation by law. The TWU would rather provide tickets to local sporting events, big splash water parks, and festivals and parades than to spend those same resources and time representing your and my best interest in this industry. I have always dreamed of a day when my union would spend time and effort on ideas like hiring a public relations firm, and instead of paying for negative political television ads playing in the political arena, I would like to see advertisements about who the AMTs of this industry are, what we do, and why we love this profession. Professionally made videos and advertisements that point out the contributions that this profession makes to the local, state, and federal economy, and why protecting our jobs from outsourcing is paramount to both airline safety and the economic well-being of our country. This webinar video, or the video that you are now watching, is a perfect example of how technology can be used by the representing organization to involve the union members in the union representational activities and to promote and defend this profession. Industrial unions have evolved into political institutions that are controlled by appointed leaders, and the original union idea of membership-controlled democratic direction has been lost in the political aspirations of the leaders so as to preserve their power and their positions. Membership needs and desires have become low priority in these organizations. The appointed self-preservationists that we call our leadership will use fear, lies, and divisions within the membership to maintain control of the organization. The TWU uses the overhaul versus line mechanics, the line versus licensed versus unlicensed mechanics, and even different title groups like stores and facilities and fleet service as tools to divide and conquer any individuals or groups that are seeking democratic membership control of the union. The Teamsters, meanwhile, are using paid organizers going door to door like Kirby vacuum salesmen, promising anything and everything that the disgruntled member wants to hear. The Southwest AMTs, the United AMTs, and even the AirTran AMTs report that the Teamsters make promises that they never deliver on. The best defense for the union member against this type of unionism is a union constitution that is enforceable by law, that allows for democratic membership voting and on all union positions, and the ability for the members to recall any and all positions within the union structure. The AMFA Constitution provides for both of these important tools to maintain membership control of the union direction. We, the members of the aviation maintenance unions within this industry, need to unite together. We need to change from unionism that believes that we pay our dues and that the leaders decide for us which direction that we will take. We need to change to the type of unionism that requires and demands our involvement in the direction and in our future. I want to speak briefly about what may be one of the most important aspects of unionism as it pertains to membership satisfaction of the overall union experience. And that is majority rule within the structure. Even a third grade math student can understand the importance of the numbers you are about to view on these next slides and how they relate to union representation satisfaction. This graphic shows a breakdown of the TWU union structure. The total membership of the TWU is 117,822 members. The total Air Transport Division membership is 48,368. Total AA mechanic and related group is 11,500 and is soon to be much less. Within the TWU and the mechanic and related work group is only 9% of the total union and only 20% of the Air Transport Division. We are not the majority within the TWU. This graphic shows a breakdown of the Teamsters union structure. The total membership of the Teamsters is 1,400,000 members. Their total airline division membership, if we joined, would be 91,000. Again, the total AA mechanic related work group is 11,500. So within the Teamsters mechanic and related group would be less than 1% of the total union and less than 13% of the airline division. Again, we are not the majority within the Teamsters. This graphic shows the breakdown of the AMFA structure. The total membership is currently 2,550 members. There is no airline or ATD division with AMFA because AMFA is all about mechanics and only mechanics. Again, the total AA mechanic work group is 11,500. Within AMFA, the AA mechanic and related work group would be a huge 82% of the total union. We would dominate the majority rule of the national union and each and every local within the structure. In closing, I would like to address two issues that the Teamsters keep using to turn you against AMFA. They claim that AMFA has no money and that it is a very small union in size. I want to remind everybody here that the pilots of American Airlines left ALPA and they formed the independent APA union. At the time that they made that change to the APA, that independent union did not exist and they had $0 and 0 members. Just like the flight attendants of American Airlines, they left the TWU and they formed the APFA, the Association of Professional Flight Attendants, which was also an independent union. And at the time that they made the change to the APFA, that union did not exist. It was brand new. They had $0 and they had 0 members. Both of these unions appear to be much stronger and better than the TWU or the Teamsters going through the current bankruptcy process that we just went through. And so my point here is that money and size does not matter. The union dues structure at American Airlines for the mechanic and related is $600,000 a month. That should be plenty of money to properly represent our interest. This concludes the presentation today, and I want to thank each of you for watching and joining us today, and I look forward to speaking again with you in the near future.
Hello, my name is Nevi Joseph. I am an AMFA supporter. I do not want the Teamsters or any industrialized union. I want a craft union for myself, for ourselves.
We turn now to Don Rogers, who is a line mechanic at American at DFW Airport. And Don, the line mechanics are overwhelmingly supporting AMFA. Why is that?
That's correct, Tim. The line mechanics support AMFA because if you look at the history over the last 40 years, the TWU, the IAM, and the Teamsters have been the lion's share of union leadership within our industry. And if you look at what they've managed to accomplish over that time, it's quite scary. They were the unions on the property at National, Aloha, Eastern, TWA, all these different companies that have gone out of business. We've got a few charts here that'll probably clear the picture up for you even more. If you look at this first chart here, it starts in 1950, and as you can see, the unionism is still on the climb until about 53. Ironically, that's when the large unions, the TWU, the IAM, and the Teamsters, and some of their fellow AFL-CIO unions, created the AFL-CIO. And since that year, we've watched this chart drop alarmingly fast to where we are today. The second chart, it shows that very same precipitous drop in unionism with the red line, and then the blue line starts talking about what percentage of income the middle class has been able to garner. And as you can see, where we used to take about half of all wages and benefits were in the middle class back in '67, today we're down to about 46% of the wages and income go to the middle class. This would be chart 3. This is a chart that shows the locals that we would most likely be put into if we join the Teamsters. As you can see, these are very large and diverse locals. They have many different industries in them. The important part here is that the presidents of these locals, with the exception of Mr. Rash in red, are not mechanics. They come from other industries. You say, well, Don, why is it important where these guys come from? Well, the answer to that is simple. The presidents of these locals appoint your business agents. Your business agents are the people who deal with the company on a daily basis on your behalf. If we're not large enough as a group, and we will not be in most of these locals, to be able to get the president, we won't be able to control who runs our business on a daily basis with the company. In short, please don't fall into the Teamsters trap. Our fourth chart shows the projected locals under AMFA. As you can see, the cornerstone cities and Tulsa would have their own local. They would remain in control of their daily business and their dues. If you compare these to the Teamsters, this is much better. Heck, if you look at it, even the current situation under the TWU, with the downsizing and the creating of 2 locals, one for the line and one for the overhaul, is much preferable to anything the Teamsters has to offer. Finally, chart 5. This is probably the most significant chart. It shows that the Teamsters have lost 113,000 members over the last 4 years. Now, the Teamsters love to sling mud at the AMFA, say they've lost members, say they don't have a lot of money, but they always fail to mention their shortcomings. The fact is, if you look at the Teamsters, very few members of our crafting class hold office in any of the locals we would be in. Furthermore, the entire leadership of the Teamsters Airline Division is made up exclusively of pilots. Why would anyone want to join that group? I think it's more important if you look at this, you look at what just happened at AirTran and at Southwest Airlines. AirTran was the Teamsters, Southwest was AMFA. During the merger, AirTran mechanics represented by the Teamsters would have only been required to get 35% of the Southwest Airlines mechanics group to call for an election. This meant, with their size, they get credit for their entire dues checkoff, that they would needed to get 250 Southwest Airlines mechanics to sign cards to cause an election. Now, one would say, why wasn't there an election at Southwest? Why couldn't the mighty Teamsters with 1.4 million members and $212 million in the bank, why could they not get 250 mechanics at Southwest Airlines to sign cards? The answer is the same as we said before, because the Southwest mechanics had personal experience with the Teamsters. They knew them for who they were, the lying and cheating, the stealing, all these things that they were not going to be party to again. So while it's true that the Teamsters were successful at United, they were successful only because those who were being sold a bill of goods didn't know them, just like we don't. So be careful, guys. Don't fall into that trap. Don't be sold that line of goods. Remember that the TWU has all the size and money anybody could ever want, and that's never done a single thing for us. We need accountability. We need majority rule. We need control. Sign an AMFA card today, and let's put democracy back in our union. Go AMFA.
since we've had AMFA, it has been a very, very positive change. I'm making more money than I'm sure I would have than if we were with the IAM or another one. And we just have a much better processes in place, like the grievance procedure. Negotiations are open. You can go observe contract negotiations, whereas before you couldn't. So there was always rumors of, secret deals and whatnot. That doesn't happen with the AMFA.
Bottom line, what makes AMFA a better union?
Because it's specific to aircraft mechanics and the related personnel. We don't have other work groups brought in to muddy the waters.
All right, it's time now for your questions, as we'll be answering some of the questions that you've been submitting this evening that you'd like to know more about AMFA, what AMFA has to offer, versus the other options that are available to you, the American mechanic. First of all, I want to reintroduce some of our panel members, but also introduce you to some new panel members who have joined us for this question and answer session. First of all, sitting to my right is the Assistant National Director for AMFA. That is Floyd Looney. Floyd is a mechanic for Southwest Airlines and Assistant National Director. You see Jack Coonrod, who is to his right. Jack with Southwest Airlines and is a Region 2 Director for AMFA. And Jamie Beckham, who is a GSE mechanic with Southwest Airlines. To my left, we have Don Rogers from American Airlines, and we also have Russell Muhlstein from American Airlines as well. So let's get to your questions, the kinds of questions that you're submitting, and some tough questions that you've been submitting today. First of all, from Robert. Another union, another lie. AMFA's been trying to get onto our property forever. With this kind of reward, why should we believe you? How do you plan to change the culture with all the mechanics that have been betrayed? How will you convince the company to open up our pathetic contract? They don't listen to a big voice. How will they listen to a little one? Jack, you want to address that?
Democracy and accountability. That's how you address that. Don, who is it that's running your current union as we speak?
Right now, Jim Little and a man by the name of Don Videch are the primary.
Either one of those aircraft mechanics?
Mr. Little's the head of the union. He's a dispatcher, and Don Videch is a mechanic from DFW.
Can you recall those people?
Can't touch them.
At AMFA, you can recall those people. If they betray you, you can recall them instantaneously. It's not a difficult process. Our Constitution is very clear about that.
Yeah, Jack, I'd like to pick up there. To answer the fellow's question, how do you change the system we're in today? The answer is exactly what Jack said. It's accountability and democracy. You have to convince people that their vote counts, that people are going to listen to them, their leaders are going to listen to them, and that if they don't like something, they can get it changed. Everyone knows under the TWU, and it's the same under the Teamsters, that if you have a problem with what's going on, too bad, you're stuck. Under AMFA's Constitution, everybody's elected, everybody's recallable. If your leader is not doing what you're asking him to do, then you get together as a group of guys and you pull his butt out of office. Now, as far as the company goes, we just signed off on this 6-year deal. And I'm going to be honest with you, the Teamsters are lying to you when they tell you you can open this up. But I'm also going to tell you that more than likely there's a merger not far down in our future. And when that merger comes around, the company's going to want us to work with them. And one of the incentives they're going to be willing to give us to work with them is some of the things back that we've given up. Now the question is, do you want to have the TWU there to give that away? Or do you want to go get a union that you can control so that when that day occurs, you can demand some of the things we've lost back? That's what we need to do.
All right, next question. Go ahead, Jack.
No, I agree totally.
Next question for Floyd Looney, Assistant National Director for AMFA. Talking about the difference in the dues rates between the AMFA dues and the TWU dues or the Teamsters dues.
Well, the AMFA dues are 2 times base pay. IBT, which is Teamster dues, is 2.5 times all-in rate, which means all your license premiums, everything is in there. It's a whole lot cheaper to go ahead and sign that card, get AMFA in, and put some money in your pocket, guys. It's that simple.
All right, next question. This is from Brett. And Don, if you'll speak to this, how has support for AMFA been on the line stations compared to the support for the Teamsters and TWU?
Well, as I was saying in the videotape segment, the line is pretty much overwhelmingly for AMFA. The line mechanics, many of them either have or do work for Teamsters represented carriers or some of the cargo carriers. There is a couple of mechanics at DFW who work for DHL in Dallas, and their experience there is that their business agent, who is not part of the airline industry, decided that 4-hour split shifts on their 8-hour day was acceptable. So they come in 4 in the morning, they go home for a few hours, and come 4 in the afternoon to finish their 8-hour shift. When he was confronted by this, when they finally got him, he said, look, you're lucky to have a job, so shut up. So what you really find at most of these line stations is people who have personal experience with the Teamsters. You're not going to convince them that the Teamsters are the way to go because they know what needs to be done. Overwhelmingly, with the exception of LA, there is some support for the Teamsters. We had somebody get in out there, and the Teamsters are kind of like roaches. Once you got them, they're kind of hard to get rid of. So, but the other line stations, AMFA all the way.
All right, thank you, Don. Another question, this one from William. Why was AMFA voted out at United? What happened in that particular case? Floyd, do you want to start there?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll let Jack take it because he was there in AMFA when most of that went on, so I'll let him talk about it.
When the IBT first started to raid at United, they come in just like they're coming in with you. They went to everybody's door, knocked on the door, asked them what their problems were, swore to God that they could open their contract, they could get their pensions back, they could fix anything that was wrong. They signed their cards. The people in Indy who were out on furlough, they went to every one of them's door, knocked on every door. Many of them, before they signed the AMFA card, they called AMFA and asked, can you get us our jobs back? And we said the truth is, probably not. The IBT promised them, you sign these cards, get us on the property, we'll get every one of your jobs back. The result is, they didn't open the contract. The result is they didn't get their pensions. The result is, not only did those people from Indy not get their jobs back, more were laid off. Don?
Jack's exactly right. Basically, they promised them everything. And you have to think about this, guys. If you were laid off out of Indy or Oakland and some guy comes to your door and puts a card down in front of you and promises you all that, really what you've got there is a lottery ticket. You know, you got nothing to lose. If they're lying, so what? You still got what you got, you know. If they're telling the truth, they pull it off, you got your job back and you're in the money. So why wouldn't you sign that? More importantly here, you know, talking about United, there's also been this rumor that, you know, AMFA got rid of the maintenance facilities at UAL's Indy and Oakland. And we've got a graph here that are actually a sheet from their agreement. And if you look at this, you'll see where it says up here, restructuring agreement with the IAM District 141 up there in the right-hand corner. And if you read this revised Article 11, it says, to allow the company to dispose of the Oakland and Indianapolis maintenance facility while preserving the protection of San Francisco. I won't bore you with the rest of it, but if you look at the date in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that that was before AMFA came on the property. So one of the lies that you've been told by the Teamsters and the TWU is that somehow AMFA was responsible for this. If you go to our website that you're viewing this on, AMFA at AA right now, this entire agreement is under the document section and you can review it for yourself. So don't be fooled by the crap they're selling. You know, they're not going to open this contract. They're not going to get your pension back. They promised the moon at UAL. And if you go talk to those guys, they delivered nothing. So let's go with a union that's going to be accountable, Let's go with a union that's going to tell us the truth, that we've got a 6-year contract, we've got an uphill road to hoe here. There's going to be some opportunities if we can get the right peoples in place to get some of this back. But let's be honest up front. We're not going to lie to you and tell you we can deliver on things we can't.
So, hey, Don, you're trying to tell me that the IAM got rid of Indy and those maintenance bases, and you know.
That's correct. And if you look on our website, you can plainly see the agreement is there in full. And I'll take it one step further than that. If you go, we don't have it on our site, we're trying to get it right now, but if you go take a look at the agreement at Horizon Air, when the Teamsters became the representatives up there, they gave away the 2 only heavy lines of maintenance they have and signed an agreement to keep their mouth shut about it, to not even complain about it. So, you know, guys, you can't lay all this at AMFA's feet, okay? You know, people say AMFA's lost members. Well, in my chart, you saw that the Teamsters lost 113,000 members in the last 4 years, according to their own LM2s. And if you look at it, they say, well, AMFA lost 85% of their membership in one of their flyers. The thing is, look here, guys, 5,000 mechanics chose to leave AMFA and go to the Teamsters at UAL. They didn't lose their jobs. AMFA didn't lose their jobs. Those people used the democratic process and made a stupid mistake. Most of them regret today. But those people didn't lose their job. Now, AMFA lost ATA and ASA, those companies went out of business. Okay? But so did Eastern, so did Pan Am, so did Western, so did Aloha. You know, the list goes on. And I guarantee if you look at that, you're looking at IAM, TWU, and Teamsters representing all those people. So you can't blame AMFA for companies going out of business, and you certainly can't say 5,000 members who democratically decided to change from one union to the other, that somehow AMFA lost their jobs. They didn't.
All right, next question. This one is from Charles, and let's go to Russell with this. Russell, you have recently gotten a notice. You've been laid off. And we addressed some of those questions in terms of what happened at United, but this is a tough time to be at American.
Yes, it is. In 2003, we took concessions, and the TWU said we were taking concessions to save jobs. Well, now they're coming back and getting the jobs. This is nothing more than another broken promise by the TWU. So where would we be if we would have just not took the concessions in 2003?
All right, thank you, Russell. Jamie, one of the things at Southwest is that at Southwest, in dealing with AMFA, your experiences, broken promises, or is this a pretty open union?
This is a real open union. I mean, if I want to go talk to the president or somebody, I know where they are. I don't have to wait for some truck driver or something to get off the road and come see me. I go right out of the hangar. I know where the president is, and they're easy accessible, no broken promises.
And it's paid off in a lot of ways. You talked about that earlier, how much your pay rate has gone up.
Absolutely.
Under AMFA.
Absolutely gone up. It's like I said, I started at Teamsters, and I mean, Teamsters was a great, when I got my union card, believe me, I was tickled to death, because like I said, me and my best friend, we talked union all the time. You know, 1636 is what I started out at. I got a raise I came from the automotive dealership. Now with AMFA, I'm making $40.36 an hour for doing automotive work.
Tim, you know, also if I could just jump in for a minute on that whole idea there. Could one of you guys from Southwest tell us, you know, the TWU and the IBT like to say your contract's nothing but an extension of their contract. Does anybody remember exactly how much you were getting paid when they left, and can you tell us what you're making today?
We were making $28 an hour when they left. We had just signed a contract in 2002. A topped-out mechanic today at Southwest Airlines makes $44 an hour.
And that's just extensions, right? All we did was just extend some contracts. I mean, I wish that we could get a few extensions at American that, you know, get to $38 an hour. That'd be a nice extension. You know, I'd even give TWU credit for the extension if we could get them.
All right, the next question, and Floyd, I'll come to you on this one. There's a real sense of urgency Louis spoke to it earlier, but the need to go ahead and get these cards signed and to get an election called because of the bankruptcy and the issues that are sort of floating out there that are uncontrollable.
Well, folks, first of all, you got a possibility of a merger. In this merger, if you don't have your people in place taking care of your business, then you can be run over by another union. The AirTran Southwest deal, merger, AMFA went in there for the Southwest mechanics, and we protected what was ours. We took care of our people, and we're tickled to death to have the AirTran guys with us now because they're a great bunch of people. However, at that point in time, we were Southwest. We took care of Southwest. We took care of our people. We will do that with y'all. With the American Airlines mechanics and employees, we will take care of you. That's a promise.
And it's a promise that's got a lot of history behind it.
A lot of history.
All right, and so now, if someone wants to sign an AMFA card, what are the things that they need to do right now? They got a mail piece the other day, didn't they?
Well, they got the mailer piece the other day. They got AMFA/AA.com. They have AMFA National. There's several places to go and get you a card and send it in. By all means, take that opportunity and take destiny in your own hands.
Okay. And that mail piece that they received is a postage-paid authorization card. So they can sign it, drop it in the mail tomorrow, and move things down the road towards calling an election.
That's correct.
All right.
Tim, can I jump in there for just 1 second, too? Just to add to that. Guys, you know, the Teamsters said we didn't have enough cards in 03. Well, just so happens I was one of 4 guys who delivered those cards to NMB. There was 9,327 cards. That was 3 suitcases full of cards. They stole our election from us by 26 cards in 03. This idea that AMFA didn't get it done or can't get it done, it's bogus. All you got to do is take that mailer that was sent to you, put your name on it, drop it in any mailbox, and before you know it, we'll be looking at an AMFA election. We're not that far away today, and you've got everything you need right there in front of you. All you got to do is put a pen to paper.
It took less than 2 months at Southwest Airlines to collect the cards and get a representational election started.
All right. As we're about to wrap up tonight's program, and let me also add, if you have additional questions, you are welcome to call those in, to email those, and you'll get a response to those questions. Even if you're watching this on a taped replay, you will get a response to the questions that you might have tonight. But let's go around the table. Final word. Jamie, let's start at your end. Final word for those who are watching this program.
You know, I've been thinking about it, and I specifically want to talk to my automotive and facilities brothers and sisters. I just, you know, back in 2003, I took a cut from TWU and concessions. They said they were going to get it back. Did they? No, didn't happen. Now they're giving more concessions and taking jobs. I just don't understand why they don't want to sign a card. What has TWU done for you lately? Sounds to me like they've done nothing for you. You know, get out of the comfort zone. Sign the card. AMFA will deliver what they say they will, I promise.
All right, let's turn to Russell. Russell, final word?
Well, basically, I just want to encourage you to share this video with your coworkers, and you can get it at AMFA-AA.com or AMFAnational.com.
All right, Jack, final word?
Yes, I'm kind of a numbers guy. Have you seen this flyer? I just saw this flyer today. It mentions financial strength. Using the numbers provided just in this flyer, and a little mathematics, AMFA has more than 3.5 times as much money per member as the IBT. AMFA spends more than 10 times as much on representational activities as the Reamsters. AMFA also spends more than 3 times as much per member on political activities and lobbying. So what do you spend the money on, Jimmy?
Floyd, final word?
Yes, I want to thank everybody for joining us in this presentation from Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association, basically for the American Airlines and mechanics and related employees. You know, AMFA is not perfect. We don't claim to be perfect, but we are the best choice for you because we are a union of mechanics and related people, by mechanics and related people, for mechanics and related people. We are the tools in your toolbox. Allow us to help you sign a card, get it in. It's totally up to you. You have your destiny in your hands. Thank you.
All right. And finally, we turn to Don Rogers. A last word from Don.
Guys, my point here is identify the problem. I had a guy come in handing out Teamsters stickers the other day, and I said, identify the problem. Size and money. TWU has all the size and money you could ever want. It's never done anything for you. So really, the Teamsters are offering size and money, but they're not offering you anything you don't already have. The issue is accountability and democracy, and really, in a word, control. AMFA's Constitution offers that control. The Teamsters, the TWU, the IAM make sure you do not have that control. Ask yourself this: can you control Jim Little or Don Vidage? The answer is, you know, absolutely not. Will you be able to control Jimmy Hoffa and his cronies? And the answer is, absolutely not. If you go with AMFA, if you don't like Floyd, if you don't like Louis, if you don't like Jack, you can go get them and replace them with somebody who will do your bidding. That's important. Identify the problem, fix the problem.
All right. Thanks to all of the members of our panel for being with us tonight. And we thank you for joining us. We hope that you will share this video with other folks at American and help them to make the decision that signing an AMFA card is in their best interest. Thank you once again for joining us. Good night.
AMFA, the Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association.